Today is Saturday, January 21st, and I'm coming at you because there are a lot of ugly pictures coming out of Atlanta, Georgia right now. The Georgia Police Department has several cars on fire. There's mass rioting going on, and this all stemmed from something that happened on Wednesday. And let's give some backstory of why we're where we're at and how this is just a tragedy that it's occurring. So, the defund the police movement was structured on taking away from police departments and having less representation of law enforcement in the neighborhoods that they're really needed in. Fortunately, some of the communities realized we don't need to defund the police. What we need to do is fund more training. And Atlanta PD is taking a huge step forward, and they're creating a new training facility that will help with not just Atlanta PD, but all of the Georgia police officers. And I'm sure once it's up and running, then they'll have police departments from all over the country coming there to train in the best practices to help keep communities safe. Well, there are people that don't want law enforcement. And so in Atlanta on this past Wednesday, they were camping out in the area that is being built up as what they call COPCITY. And so there were these protesters there. When law enforcement moved in, the protesters were camping. They were in places they shouldn't have been. They were trespassing. When law enforcement moved in, allegedly one of the protesters from within a tent fired a gun and shot a Georgia police officer. Other police officers opened fire on the man in the tent. He was killed in that. And from that, a group called Scenes from Atlanta Forest put out on Twitter, which has now been shut off because of call of violence. They put out a call for a night of rage starting on Friday. And now we're picking up more from that. And that night of rage, it's interesting, they said that we want to enact reciprocal violence to be done to the police and their allies. And they say that wherever you are invited to participate in this night of rage in order to honor the memory of our fallen comrade. Now, it's interesting that they use the word comrade there because, historically speaking, there's one group of people that use the word comrade a lot, and it's usually not Americans. But we're seeing this communist influx of activity, especially among the younger generation in America, who don't realize how good it is here in America. At the same time that they're complaining about what's going on in America and calling themselves comrade and looking at this communist system, they were also enraged that Brittany Griner traveled to communist Russia and was held in prison for having a vape pen that had marijuana THC in it. So it's interesting that they don't seem to know what they're really looking for, because they're complaining about the United States and they also complained about Russia, and they're modeling their activities and behaviors and language even over Russia. So they've called for this night of rage. And unfortunately, what's going to happen is it's going to be the riots similar to a couple summers ago, where people who live in Atlanta are not going to be able to travel freely and safely this weekend at least, because there's going to be threats of the riots and the fires. And I'll show you, you're seeing some pictures here where there's fires taking place. This is not how America works. Some people say, you know what, we have a right to peacefully protest. 100%. But the key word there is peacefully. When you start shooting police officers, and you start burning police cars, and you start really burning your own neighborhoods, that's not what a peaceful protest is. If you want meaningful change, you have to look to the past. And it's interesting that the earlier of this week, we celebrated Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthday. And he talked about peaceful protest and having change. And I think we can look back from the 1960s and come forward and say there has been a lot of improvements based on the peaceful protests that the likes of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and others of that era had. So going with the violent protests is not the way to win anything. And all it's going to do is cause more damage and cause more heartache for the people that are trying to just live and coexist in this community. So I think we all need to come together and say we support law enforcement. We want to get rid of the bad element of law enforcement. If there are bad elements, absolutely, they need to be removed. But we support good law enforcement, and we support having safe communities where you can go out and not be in fear of becoming a victim of a crime. So I hope you found this video interesting enough to look into this and see ways that you can help make communities safer without burning them down first.